Some quick observations about President Donald Trump's visit with Vladimir Putin. Trump is a bully to everyone else except Russian President Vladimir Putin. What about Putin scares Trump? Why won't Trump stand up to Putin? Putin has had the upper hand ever since Trump was elected. Trump questioned President Barack Obama's birth certificate. I think it is time to question Trump's passport. Does he have a U.S. passport? Is he a Russian citizen? Trump clarifies, walks back, explains, defends more bad statements than is humanly possible. He needs his hearing checked. Can he not hear himself when he speaks? I never thought I would live to say that our president would make me ashamed and embarrassed to be an American. Well, samples, Dallas, Lakewood. What is Moscow telling Russians? Invite set for Putin. Trump wants second summit to start implementing some of the many things discussed. Friday news story. The media is full of reports from people in government in the dark about what President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed privately in Helsinki. Learning that a second meeting between them is planned for this fall to begin putting into place some of what was discussed leaves our desire to know what they are up to all the more urgent. It seems we can't find out from our government. So, what is Moscow saying? What is Russian media telling Russians about the meeting, what was accomplished and what might be coming? Why can't our media report that information? If we can't learn from our own government what we urgently need to know, wouldn't it at least be informative to know what the other side says? Brian Baldwin, Dallas, Oakland. Trump's accomplishments. Contrary to fake news reports, President Trump has repeatedly said he accepts intelligence that Russia attempted to interfere with the 2016 election. Intelligence also shows other governments conducted cyber attacks. The interference began long before Trump. Russia attempted to undermine both sides. The meddling had no effect on the outcome. There still is no evidence of collusion. Trump has expelled Russian diplomats, expanded economic sanctions, countered Russian forces in Syria, provided defensive weapons to Ukraine, insisted NATO partners spend more on defense, and fully cooperated with the Russia investigation, despite its partisan bias. Trump's predecessor pursued a reset in relations. He sold uranium to Russia, opposed a European missile shield, refused assistance to Ukraine, backed down from the red line in Syria, ignored warnings of election meddling, and scoffed at notions that Russia presented a geopolitical threat or that an American election could be rigged. I'd recall such negativity to President Barack Obama. Could it be that Trump's critics don't want him to succeed where Obama failed? Ken Ashby, Dallas. Questions for Trump critics. Here are some questions for Trump haters. 1. Has every member of NATO been relying on the U.S. to spend considerably more on their collective national security than they have themselves? 2. On average across all product lines, does the European community have higher tariffs on American products than the U.S. has on theirs? 3. Have the Chinese been stealing American technology? Do they require U.S. companies to give away intellectual property to operate in China? Do they charge higher tariffs on American imports than we do on theirs? 4. Is it better to try and maintain dialogue for a peaceful relationship with Russia rather than trigger a nuclear war? 5. Has Donald Trump's administration done more than the Obama administration to strengthen Eastern Europe's ability to prevent Russian adventurism, including providing military equipment and resources to Ukraine and the Baltic states, and agreeing to the sale of Patriot missiles to Poland that Obama canceled? 6. Isn't it the law of the land to apprehend and deport immigrants who enter our country illegally, and the president's duty to enforce the law? Just asking. Steve Dowd. Plano election's importance in a unique way. The 2018 November election is a presidential election. Those elected officials not working to remove President Donald Trump from office should be replaced by others with less greed for power and more spine for democracy. The report that, following the Trump-Putin press event, treason and traitor topped the list of lookups in our dictionaries leaves us unsurprised. Surely there is a limit to this insanity. Molly Hanshi, North Dallas. 4 ways to disprove collusion. If President Donald Trump wants us to believe there was no collusion with his campaign in Russia during the 2016 election, he can easily prove it by doing the following. 1. Release his income tax. 2. Release the transcript of his private meeting with Putin in Finland. 3. Put sanctions on Russia for meddling in our democracy. 4. Agree to an interview with Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller. Joanne Barnes, Fairview. Benedict Arnold's whereabouts. America, do we have a Benedict Arnold in our midst? The events of this past week began with the Helsinki private meeting and, later, press conference, love fest honoring Tsar Putin, a subsequent would and wouldn't wordplay, the revelation that President-elect Donald Trump knew 2 weeks before his inauguration of Russian President Vladimir Putin's direct orders to hack the U.S. election process, and culminated with an invitation for Putin to visit the White House this fall. This is a clarion call to Americans of all political stripes to stand up to our very own, current-day Benedict Arnold. Putin in 2018 seeks to be the alpha on the world stage. Trump is his sycophant, his wannabe, on the U.S. stage. No one can curtail Trump's ambition, especially our intelligence community. And the feckless cowards, as Steve Schmidt calls the Republican Party that he used to be a part of, stand by meekly, playing Nero's fiddle while America burns. We are being sold out, my fellow citizens. If you are a true patriot, then swallow your pride and let your voice be heard by your representatives, your neighbors, your friends and family. The Manchurian Candidate has arrived. Michael Anthony, Carrollton. Which side are you on? The song, Which Side Are You On?, written by Florence Reese in the 1930s about the Harlan County coal wars, asks a searing question. After the meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, there is no legitimate claim to neutrality. If you're still a supporter of President Donald Trump, so be it. If you remain docile, you're complicit. I stand with the United States of America, not Trump, Putin or the Russian Federation. Gary Stover, Planned Company. Trump keeps. President Donald Trump meets with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, a killer who poisoned his half-brother. Next, Trump sits down with Russian President Vladimir Putin, a killer who poisons his ex-spies. With what other reprehensible dictator could Trump seek to build a lasting relationship? Syrian President Bashar Assad. He's got it all. Killer, client of Putin, chemical weapons expert, and he speaks English. I can see it now. The 3 supreme leaders walking down the 8th fairway at Mar-a-Lago, puffing cigars, dividing up Syria. The war is over. Did I hear Kellyanne Conway say Nobel Prize? David Varrique, Dallas.